New Yorker is an ordained interfaith minister, licensed affirmative prayer practitioner, master's level spiritual psychologist, and purpose coach. She's purposed to support people in living life in joy by being connected to their yes, to disrupt unhealthy patterns and reveal healing from within. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Reverend Melissa Moorer Nobles.
Hey, let's talk. Let's talk.
By day, she is an ethics and compliance professional. She is also a certified life coach and owner of New Life Ventures LLC, where she supports and inspires others through their journey of self discovery to live a more abundant and authentic life. Please welcome from the Philadelphia area, Phaedra Staten.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Let's talk.
And now, your Let's Talk crew. This native New Yorker currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia, where she is a contributing writer, blogger, and has served as an administrative professional for over 20 years. Please welcome Let's Talk co host Carla Morgan.
Hello, everybody. Let's talk.
A divorced mother of three, entrepreneur, professional organizer, professional certified life coach, and the host of Let's Talk. Let's welcome Regina Smithwick.
Good evening, everybody. Let's talk. Are we ready? We're about to have a fabulous show about life coaches. This is going to be eye-opening. It's going to be a great experience. So let's talk. Let's get it going. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in for this evening's show. I really appreciate everybody that is watching our show. So before we get started, like I do always, I would like to open up with a nice little prayer to start it off. So just give me 1 second. Lord and Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this evening. Thank you so much for having these panelists up here to be able to educate us and empower us and enlighten us on life coaching. And I'm hoping that somebody or people who will be able to open up their minds and their thoughts about being able to reach out to a life coach if they need so. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all. This show, I cannot wait. I'm going to give you a little background on this real quick. Reverend Melissa Nobles. I put that in existence. You know that means something, right? Okay. So, Nobles, this is actually my personal life coach, okay? So I just want to give y'all a heads up. Everything that you have saw transpire in my life in the last 2 years, she is the vessel that allowed this to flow through me. So this show, everything that's happening, my professional organizational company, everything that happened went through her vesseling from God. It went through her and came through me. So thank you. Personally, thank you. And I want to thank you on air because I'm telling you, you had changed my life, literally. So it works, ladies and gentlemen. If you know me, you know it works. So I just want to put that out there from the beginning, okay? Phaedra is actually a college friend of mine. She's a Virginia Stater as well. Partially. I got to give her. She didn't come out with us. Yes. So I'm proud of her as well because she has a very different outtake on life coaching. We're going to talk about that in a second. So welcome, y'all. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to just dive on in, okay? So let's talk about the definition of life coach. What is your definition of life coach? I'll start with Phaedra.
Yeah, my definition of it is a partnership, first of all. So it's where I partner with a client that is ready to pursue a life goal. For me, and I know we'll get into this a little bit later, but it's around career. So that is my focus. But I would say essentially it's a life goal, some area of life that they are trying to achieve something, and I partner with that individual to keep like their accountability partner. So I am partnering with them on their journey. I am providing, I would say, some exercises, some you know, internal thinking. You know, so this is again, this is heart work, this is soul work. So that's what I'm doing. So I am partnering with someone that is ready to get on the journey to achieve whatever their respective life goals are.
Okay. Reverend Melissa Nobles, you want to tell us your definition of life coach?
Yes, and whenever I'm asked this question, I always have a different answer. I'm just telling you right now. But the essence is answering your soul's call, being connected to your yes. I say I live life in joy, and I support people in connecting to their yes. And so oftentimes we want to act like we don't know what that is, but we know. And so as a coach, I just support the person in really taking that internal journey to access what is there, what is seeking their attention, right? And that takes doing the work. It really does. I often say, I can't do it for you. So I build a relationship. I would say that each relationship with a client is unique and different because I need to see where they need the support and I need to see where we need to focus. So I take a spiritual approach to coaching. It's about revealing the healing. And I often say that nothing is broken. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed, right? Fix My Life is for marketing, y'all. No one needs to be fixed. No one needs to be fixed, right? So it's not about correction. It's about connection. So let's connect to that which in you, your inner counselor, your inner coach, so that you can live the life that you were designed to live.
Well, I'm glad you had brought that up. So life coaching, a lot of people think life coaching is a magic pill or you're a guru and you have this magical gold book, you're going to Bible, you're going to give them and it's going to have all the answers in it. Explain to people how the partnership is in life coaching, Phaedra.
Yeah, so, you know, everyone that comes to this partnership, as I call it, they are their own expert in their life. And so when they come with a focus area, so I help them kind of dive deep into what is their, as Melissa had said, what is their yes, or what is, you know, life, it's speaking to them. And so through that, that's how we partner. You know, that is how we, you know, stay on this journey and I help keep them accountable. You know, a lot of folks, when they do come, they're in a position of, at least when they come to me, the word that they use is stuck. I hear that a lot. And, you know, part of the partnership is helping them to get unstuck. And that requires a lot of a journey into the soul, as I would put it.
Yeah. Reverend Melissa?
I would say that it is a relationship. It's a relationship with yourself. It's a relationship with the divine source. It's a relationship. I'm really just there to facilitate it all. Really, right? I'm there to observe and to witness you go through your journey and give you the assistance, the guidance that you need, right? So it might look like, well, I shouldn't even say might, it looks like homework, right? Because in essence, we're spending about an hour together. So what's going on those other 23 hours, right? I would say you don't come to a coach and think that everything is going to be resolved in that hour. So you're really doing the work in those other 23 hours, right? And it is about, as Phaedra said, it's about being accountable, right? Not being accountable to me, but being accountable to yourself. Being accountable because what you're doing is you're building self-trust, right?
Yeah.
And we do that by, you know, taking those little baby steps.
And what I'm hearing from y'all, and I'm gonna chime in with my crew in a second and see what they think about this. But what I see is like losing weight or anything that you think you can't do it on your own, and you want a coach or you want somebody to make you accountable first of all, and you feel that if you're spending money and time and effort, you feel like you will stick to it better with that accountability partnership. But then accountability partnership is educated and knowledgeable in this field. You know, it's not just that you're just talking to somebody and a girlfriend, whatever. Like they actually know to take what you have given them and maybe put it in a schedule or, like you said, homework form, so people can kind of dig and do stuff. I think it just makes people sit down and be accountable. And a lot of times people need that validation piece to know they hear somebody tell them they can do it, or they have faith in them, and maybe other people didn't. It's just the right person to do it. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, makes sense. Do y'all have anything y'all want to say, Carla or Andrea?
Yes, I'm actually writing notes as you're talking.
Oh yeah, me too, honey.
Jotting down. There are a couple of points that that kind of stuck out with me, and there was one. I think you said it, Phaedra. When people get stuck.
Mhm.
So I guess you know, what do you do when someone comes to you and they, you know, been stuck for 30, 40, 50, 60 years? You know, they've been just spinning their wheels, so to speak, for all those years, and now they're coming to you. So how do you get people? And I guess it's really a shifting of the mindset. But what, you know, what is it that you do? Or does it depend? Is it, you know, case by case or person by person? What is it that you do to get them unstuck if they've been doing those, you know, following those practices, living those lifestyles for, like I said, 30, 40, 50, 60 years?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. So the stuck piece is where, and again, this is in my opinion, where we don't want to say yes. We are so undecided. And I ask questions to help figure out what is behind the stuck. You know, we all use that as a euphemism for a lot of different things. And it could, the definition of that could be, it could be fear. It could definitely be indecision. But, you know, stuck is, I think of it as a code word for something else. And so I do exercises with my clients to, I would say, as we use kind of in coaching language, to help look under the iceberg, right? So if you're thinking about an iceberg, what's up at the top is I'm stuck. Well, then I'm asking some questions. And it is dependent on the individual. So this is a unique kind of practice, if you will. But as I learn a little bit more about the client and understanding what their goals are, then I'm asking a series of questions to get kind of, again, underneath the iceberg of what does stuck mean? Can you explain that to me? How does that show up in your life? And so, and again, people, when they come to us, see, they already have the answers. Again, everyone is the expert in their own lives. My job is to ask the right questions, plenty of questions, but I would say ideally the right questions to help you uncover, in this instance, why you might be stuck in a certain area or what is keeping you stuck. Sometimes it's ourselves.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah. And yeah, the stuck aspect, I guess it'll apply for me, it's procrastination. I always hesitate for a minute and I have to think and think and think and think, and then I'll do it. You know what I mean? So I would definitely need help from a life coach to get me through that, because that's been pretty much my whole life.
Telling the truth.
You know, Carla,
Yes.
you know, that is so good. And
Yes.
you know, the take on procrastination that I share with people is to think about it in the sense of consciousness, right? And so there's different levels of consciousness. So we could be in victim consciousness. We could be in the consciousness of, you know, I'm the manifester. I make it all happen all by myself, right? We could be in a consciousness of, you know, spirit is flowing through me. And we could be in a consciousness of spirit is as me, right? That procrastination is a consciousness of delay.
Mm.
It's a consciousness of delay.
Mhm.
You are delaying the good that God has for you to come into your life,
Ooh.
right?
Going.
So procrastination is one of those words that we accept now. It's just one of those words.
Good
But
point.
let somebody tell you, it's not procrastination. It's a consciousness of delay, delaying the good. That might get you moving.
That's true. Is it also fear-based too?
It could be fear. It could be a lot of things. It could be many people that I work with, the stuckness or the resistance has to do with unforgiveness. So is there something, someone, it could be you, that you may need to do some forgiveness work around?
It's so deep. It goes so deep. Like the layers of it is so deep, but then it's so easy. It's like when you find what it is, it just like pop. But you have to be able to, first of all, do the work. And that's the problem with a lot of people. They don't want to do the work. They got to be ready to peel back. I'm going to use cookie analogy. Take off the mask and peel back, because you can't go in there and say, fix me. First of all, like you said, I can't fix you. You don't need to be fixed, but you need to be true to yourself and understand what's happening to you and find that layer of, all y'all have good analogies. What Phaedra just said about, peeling back and going under there and not going to the top, kind of going from in the bottom and figuring this out. You have to start from, like Drake said, you got to start from the bottom and way to the top, right? So you got to start with something, but you can't just expect it just to happen. You got to do your work. So ladies, talk about doing your work and what that looks like in life coaching.
Yeah, so I can start with this one. People are scared. There's a lot of things, a lot of times in our past that we may not want to surface and we may not want to face. And I find that a lot, particularly in the work that I do. Because again, I focus mostly on career coaching, but particularly coaching those who are in transition, so they've already spent maybe a couple of years in a certain industry or type of work, but now, the soul has been poking at them because they're not happy either where they are or the type of work that they're doing. And I find a lot of this goes back to childhood for a lot of people, because then I ask them, well, why are you doing the work that you're doing? Well, when I was in high school and getting ready to go to college, my parents told me that I needed to major in business or I needed to major in medicine, but my heart is in painting. Like I deal with people like that. they want to come from, medical field and transition to something totally different. But there's a lot of fear there. There's a lot of what will other people say.
That's it.
What will other people think? And you have to help folks do the work to get beyond that, but to really go inner and to find out what is their soul purpose, because the soul will continue to agitate you until you are in your right place. It really will. So again,
and it comes out in different facets too, Phaedra. It comes out in whole different facets.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so that work, the approach to it is really, I would say, being able to be vulnerable. That takes, a lot of work. Not many people are ready for that or expect that even when they come to coaching. Because again, I have to help you reveal your own answers.
I think that we get in our own way.
Absolutely.
We get in our own way. And I think if you get around I'm going to say around, if you could get that piece of worrying about what people think about you out of this whole equation, it would open up the floodgates. Most of us are worried about what other people are going to think and say about us if we do any change if we do anything that they're not used to us doing, we think about other people when we make decisions for ourselves. I said this before because I did it. I would think about what everybody else would think before I even decided to make the decision, because I don't know why I was worried about them, because they don't do anything for me to change my life. They don't pay bills. They don't do anything. But I gave them so much. I did that.
We give other people more power. Yeah.
I gave them that much power to have me stuck, because when you're around people that's all doing the same thing, you don't know better.
Mhm.
It's not like
That's good.
you don't know better. You only know what you know. And if you're in a crowd of people that's doing the same thing, that's the hardest part, when you're the first one to make that change. But after you do it, they fly right behind you because they see something is going on.
Sure.
As I always tell people,
Right.
if you are the smartest person in your circle, then you need a new circle.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And being concerned about what other people think is just one layer, right? We could get in that conversation, but we'll just be spinning. So let's peel it back, right?
Oh, it's about to do it.
Let's peel it back, because we're not going to have a whole hour talking about what other people think, right? I want to talk about what you think. What are your thoughts? Right? What are you saying to yourself day in and day out about you? Right? Let's have a conversation with that voice. Right? That voice of, I'm concerned about what everybody else thinks about me, might be saying, I don't trust myself. It might be saying, I don't love myself. It might be saying that I'm not worthy. Right? If we start peeling it back, right? The being concerned about what everybody else thinks about me is a distraction, right? It distracts you from really spending the time, the energy that you need to on yourself. So the basis of the work that I do with people is it's spiritually based, right? And it really is spending some time. I say we're going to binge watch our thoughts. That's an exercise that I have people do. Binge watch your thoughts, right? Because most of our thoughts are repetitive.
Sure.
Right? Most of our thoughts are in the past or in the future. We rarely think about present, right? And then we're just regurgitating, right? We're just regurgitating. So let's get clear about what we're thinking about, and then start to challenge that, right? With love and with kindness, right? And so we do what I say is our spiritual practice. So I have some ground rules when I work with people, and Regina knows this. There's 2 non-negotiables. One, that you will have a spiritual practice. And we could talk about what that is going to look like. Oftentimes it's meditation, it's inspirational reading, and it's inspirational journaling, and it's prayer. Right? I've changed it to 3, 3, 3, 3. Right? Just to start. Okay. Just to start, right? 3 minutes of inspirational reading, 3 minutes of inspirational journaling, 3 minutes of meditation, and 3 minutes of prayer. And then we build from that. It's a baby step. Who doesn't have 12 minutes for themselves in the morning? And then there's a book, 30-Day Mental Diet. And it is a book that really centers around what you are thinking and your position in the universe, who you are as an individualized expression of God, right? And as a creative being, you get to co-create your life. But we got to get this chit chat in check. We got to get the chit chat in check.
Binge watch.
Binge watch those thoughts.
I already wrote that down, right? Binge watch your thoughts. But see, that's what you got to do as a life coach, because people going to want to keep taking you around what they always been doing. And that's what they always been doing. Talking about, well, so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. And you like, you got an hour, baby, sweetie. You got an hour. You wasted 5 minutes already. So let's reel it up. And let's talk about what we need to do to correct that, so you won't be thinking that way anymore. Perfect. So let's talk about this real quick. The Black community and getting help, seeking help. that's what really triggered me to do this show, because when I got into getting help for myself, out of the people I know, it's not too many of us that did this. Okay. So this is kind of taboo-ish. It's kind of more known now, but it's still not your people that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. You don't really hear about too many, unless they're doing it, then that's not telling you, because they're not open up to tell you. But the Black community, what do you think about, like life coaching? What is your experiences dealing with the Black community, Phaedra, with life coaching?
Yeah, I will say, so I've been doing this work now for close to 5 years. And even when I was in the midst of getting my certification, I was the only Black person in my class of 25, right? So then, you seek you graduate, you seek other certifications. And then I let folks know, and of course you need to explain, well, what is life coaching? People have never heard of it. And they'll say, well, I don't need a therapist, or I don't need a counselor. And so I have to further explain what's different about it. I will say that, we as a community, we think of seeking help as weakness. There's a generation of us that thinks about seeking help as it's just not something we talk about. Those places where sometimes we're afraid to go there, so to speak. There's elements of our life where, we just don't talk about it. And then, of course, we've got a segment of our population that says, I will just take it to God now, or I'll just pray about it. Now, of course, that is essential. And I tell people, yes, absolutely. But you also need to partner with a professional, be that a therapist, depending on what the issue is, because I have had people that have wanted to partner with me. And I have, in assessing what they wanted to work on, I have recommended that they seek therapy. But seeking help is a strength, because you're growing, you are developing personally. And so when you talk about it in that way, I think people have a different, a different thought about what it is that they need in their lives. It's one thing to share this with a family member, or to share this with, our peers, because we all do that, share it with our girlfriends. But, we need someone at the end of the day that will help us kind of peel back the onion on what those real issues are, to help us get through that, and to hold us accountable.
And that's perfect. Perfect. What do you say, Reverend Melissa?
I don't know if I could add to that.
She already said she wrapped that one up.
Yeah, Phaedra, knocked it out of the park, because that's what it's about. And the only piece I would add is about education. Like we just don't know that there's a resource that's available, and I think probably now, since we've all had this COVID experience, it's becoming more known. It's becoming more known, and it's becoming more accessible to people.
Yeah, and I think more of us need it after COVID.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of us has got to a point that we didn't realize we had problems until we were locked up for a year, and then
yourself.
Right. We didn't realize we were locked up. We was talking to ourselves and realized ourselves wasn't right. You spend time with yourself long enough, you'll figure that out. And I know, even with probably people who have partners and couples and all that, they probably revealed and learned a lot about themselves in the last year and a half. Probably stuff they didn't know about each other. So this is a great time for this conversation, because if there's something that happened, you need to go ahead and seek out help and counseling, because it will at least steer you in the right direction to figure out what you want to do, with yourself. I believe that God has blessed all of us with people who have this knack of getting to be a life coach. Like God puts this in us, like God used us as vessels all the time. and being therapists and counselors and life coaches is a ministry to a point. You know what I'm saying? Because you're there to help his people.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you need to go and pray. By all means, please do. Take it to God, and God will guide you to the right person that He feels that you should be attached to. And that could be these ladies right here, or they could be other people in your town or whatever. But He uses them as vessels, and He uses that channel. So yes, prayer, so He can lead you to the right person that will help you on the earthly side get help. I think that's the best way you can put that.
Yes.
So now, we already talked about doing your work, but now let's talk about the myths of life coaches. What are the myths that you know about in life coaching? I think this is a good one because a lot of people take life coaching as, I don't know what they're thinking, but y'all go ahead and input out there what you think about life coaching.
Well, my favorite one is people who come to me for their own answers. And I oftentimes have to say, I don't know, baby. I don't know. But we're going to get there. We're going to take that journey together. Or people think that I have the magic pill, as you said, that there is something to fix, right? There is something to fix, that there is something wrong with them, that they're unfixable. That they're unfixable. And that is just not true. That is not the truth. But I think the biggest myth for me is really thinking that someone else knows best for you than you know for yourself.
Good point. What about you, Phaedra?
Yeah, I'd have to share the same sentiment that Reverend Melissa talked about. For me, that is the biggest thing. And hence why I have to explain the difference between what I do and what I would say a mentor does. A mentor is someone that you are seeking some answers from. We expect that they have life experience or work experience, whatever the mentor is for, in an area that you don't have knowledge, right? For life coaching, this is, my work is to help draw out what you already know, may have buried deep, but is that resounding yes within your soul, and to help you step forward. So yeah, I would agree that the biggest myth is that we're providing the answers. And I was like, no, I just have a lot of questions.
Doesn't that make them angry sometimes?
Yes.
They're like, what?
What you asking me that for?
And I'm paying for this?
He asked me these questions. I can go home and ask questions.
Yes.
But they don't, you got to trust the process, ladies and gentlemen. When you go to life coaching, you're going because you have something that you cannot do yourself. So if you can't do it yourself, do not go there and try to tell them how to do their job. That's the purpose why you're there, because you're not following the process. You got to be vulnerable and open to follow the process.
Absolutely.
And another thing, like I used that analogy on Thursday, a hit dog will holler. You're going to holler a lot when you have to face yourself. You're going to have to deal with things that you don't want to deal with. But if you want to get to the other side of that mountain and live in that oasis that I feel right now, you have to go through the process. The valleys are low, but the payoff is great. I'm telling you, it's worth the travel.
Right.
And these life coaches are trained. They go to school. They're not just making this up and like girlfriend talk. No, they actually do the work, and they work on themselves before they work on you. So they know what's going on. They know the process. While they sitting back and telling you, just trust it. Please just trust it. I'm telling you, I know. Just trust the process. And they tell you something that they tell you something that you know the answer to already, but they're gonna tell you what to do.
Yes. And it takes time. It takes time, and so I often say, just be gentle with yourself because people want to see fast results. You've been living like this for 40, 50 years and you think this is going to get cleared up in 2 or 3 sessions?
Right.
No, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. So that's another myth that is a quick fix. And it's not that at all.
Oh my
Do you
goodness.
experience people that stick with it, or do they drop after being challenged by you guys, so to speak?
Well, you're really challenging yourself, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have had people that I work with who have been very resistant,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we make a plan, we come back the next week and they've done nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to spend the session talking about why they didn't do it. And so I just say, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right?
Mm.
So this is not about you working with me. This is how you work in your life,
This is what you do.
right?
Right,
This is
great
what
point.
you do.
Mm-hmm.
So then let's just start from there. This is what you do, right? And let's have that honest conversation.
Mhm.
And let's have a discussion about how that is working for you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Because if it's working for you, then okay, we could say, you know, thank you, and you could go about your life.
Wow.
It's all good, right? But if you're here, then you recognize that there's something that is not working for you,
Mhm.
right? And so let's spend our time talking about that. We're not going to spend time talking about why you didn't do something,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And I do the same thing I'm a parent of twin girls. I do the same thing with my girls.
Mhm.
We don't have to spend time talking about why you didn't do it.
Mhm.
Let's regroup. Let's come up with a plan. I want you to be successful. Maybe we have to take even tinier steps,
Mhm.
right? Because we're building self-trust.
Sure.
Right.
And if you keep letting yourself down, you will never build self-trust.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mhm.
That's
Wow.
a good point. And you know, and being vulnerable and being open is a big part of this, because if you're really tired of being sick and tired, you will get more out of it than you coming in there with this,
Mhm.
you know, that look like, what you gonna tell me? You know what?
Yeah.
When you have that,
Right.
you're giving me free money. Baby, you know what I'm saying? Because your time is ticking and I'm getting paid. So if you want to sit there and fight with me, you can do that for about good 3-4 sessions. You can pay off some bills for mine. If you want to go ahead and get to the nitty gritty, like Reverend Melissa said, you know, she's being truthful and she's being, you know, that's true. Because some people have you sitting there talking for 3 or 4 sessions about that stuff and just letting your time tick. She's telling you, I don't want to waste your money, sweetie. I want you to get something out of this because I want you to see some results out of this.
Yeah.
That's somebody who's being real with you.
Mhm.
So, you know, and then Phaedra said that too. Like when the people start talking, you like, okay, I'm trying to help you. I'm not here to hear all that. I want you to get something out of this hour.
Yeah.
So you got to be open and ready to talk. And talking about that, Carla, we're going to go ahead and start taking, I see some comments in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have 2 great life coaches here and they are taking the questions. I recommend if you have some questions about life coaching, if you ever thought about it, or you have some kind of something, ask now. We got them here for you for free. So you need to ask. So go ahead, Carla. You go ahead and take some.
Yeah, absolutely. Yolanda Riccioli says,
Hey,
wow, I love that way of defining procrastination.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
That was good.
Yes, consciousness of delay.
Yes, that speaks to me. Okay. Donna Bazant says, have you ever had a client that you couldn't help because they wouldn't listen?
I'll take this one. I have had a client that I'll just say was not ready for the process. You know, again, a lot of people may approach life coaching and not fully understand what it is. And this client that I'm thinking about thought that I was providing a lot of answers for them. And so I had to really just kind of interrupt their story. So that's kind of what, we've been talking about here. People will talk and talk and talk about, and what was interesting about this person is about what other people were doing to them. And so part of that was interrupting this story, having them, number one, understand that is a story that they're replaying, and now it's becoming their truth. So how do you, and this is part of the paradigm shift, so what is really true about that, really? There's that, that's not really true. I said, well,
Mhm.
every week you've been coming in here with that same, you know. So sometimes I've had to say, I'm going to allow both of us some grace and allow that person to rethink at least, what we've discussed thus far, and have them, kind of reconsider what it is that they are really seeking to change, is that they're really seeking to accomplish. Because
Okay, I think she's going down a little bit.
waste
Yeah.
anyone's time and
Right.
mine.
All right.
All right.
So I would say that I could ask some people.
Oh, she's coming back a little bit. Faith, you gotta go on out a little bit.
I don't know if I would say
No, I don't think she
necessarily
is.
help, but
She can't hear us.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll
You
go
know,
to the next.
That's an interesting question. Have you ever had a client that you couldn't help because they just wouldn't listen?
Mm-hmm.
And I had, but in a different sense. They wouldn't listen to their own inner guidance.
Mm.
It's not so much about listening to me. It's really about listening to your intuition. It's about listening to when you get when you get that sense, that I call it the divine urge, and you don't listen to it. When you hear your soul calling out to you and you don't listen, right? I've had clients who just don't listen within themselves.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I wanted to touch on something that I have learned in my journey, going through life coaching and doing my homework and doing the work. One of the things was law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot about law of attraction through Reverend Melissa and doing my work and reading a book on it. And it was kind of far-fetched for me at first, because when you're not in that realm, it's hard for you to see that kind of thing happening. And we're going to talk about a little bit in depth about a couple of things we talked about why people see it kind of being, woo, but it's really not at all when you really think of the sense of it and how the process. I'm gonna let her explain it better than me, but I do know that I believe in the law of attraction and it does work. And I believe you put anything out in the universe, good or bad and differ, it's going to come back the way you give it to it. So if you give it out negativity, you're going to get back negativity. So Reverend Melissa, can you explain, first of all, the law of attraction and how it processes first, and then we'll get into, a little bit more about it.
Yeah, the law of attraction is simply about co-creating with the law. With the law or with the Lord, you choose. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The law, the Lord is the same thing, right? And so it's as Regina, you explained it perfectly. What you put out is what you get back. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so you're magnetizing that to you. Everything is energy. Everything is on a frequency. All of us are vibrating. Nothing is still. Nothing is still, right? Everything is radiating. So what is it? I like to say that we are a broadcasting system. So what are you broadcasting to yourself? What are you broadcasting out into the world? And that is what you're going to get back. So if you spend all day thinking about, I can't have this, I can't have that, you're going to get more of what you can't have.
Sure.
So let's talk about what we want. Let's talk about our heart's desire, because the law says yes. The law says yes. And there is one law. There is one law, but it is expressed in a multitude of ways, just like us, right? So we could say there's a law of attraction, there's a law of correspondence, there's a law of mental equivalence, there's a law of circulation, there's a law of prosperity. We could go on and on. The bottom line is that there is one law, and we get to use it, right? We don't have to create the power. The power is already created. We can use the power, and we could use it intelligently, or we could use it in ignorance. It doesn't matter. It's going to say yes. Doesn't matter. So I know the law of attraction became this mainstream thing with The Secret and, other things. But the law of attraction is nothing new. It ain't magic. And it's not, woo, right? It's nothing. It's nothing like that, right? It's not, a negative thing. It is what it is. It just is. It just is. And we can use it. So get clear about what it is that you want, because the universe, God, divine source, whatever you want to call it, is going to say yes. We get to work with the law, and the law works through us.
Yes, in the words, and I'm gonna let Phaedra and the crew chime on this one because this is a good one. So I believe that, and the learning and the teachings that I learned, the words you speak, the thoughts that you think that sometimes don't even come out your mouth, dictates your day and your life. If you think it, it comes to pass. If you say you're going to do something, and like I said, the word try, I've been getting out my vocabulary for the last 2 years. I don't even realize how many times I said try in one day. When I started paying attention to me and saying try, I'm like, I'm going to do it. Because that's an escape route. If you're going to try, that means you're trying to escape. You're going to do it or you're not going to do it. You're not making a decision. You're just letting it float. You got to say, we'll see, I'll see, perhaps. All those little words that we use on a day-to-day basis is escape routes of not dealing with stuff. And I had to learn that. And then I catch myself all the time, like, oh gosh, I say it all the time. And then when you say things that, if you want something, you say, I want it, or I can't afford it, or I can't get it, or I can't. If you say you can't afford it, you're never going to afford it.
Right.
A lot of these people that's out there making this money, they're using this way of processing and thinking. They never think bad. And they always think everything is a learning experience and everything is going to go to a better place. They never think of it as being a failure. Right. And that's the way they think. And that's why they don't fail, because they don't treat it as a failure. And because when we think of failure, we think of like bad, start at the beginning, get sad, start crying, doing all that. That's why we always get stopped in our process, because we don't see it as a good thing. Failure is a growth. It's not a bad thing. And shouldn't be called failure anyway. It's this experience that you're growing. See, I learned. See, look, she's at this smiling. See, that I learned.
Regina, that is so
the
good.
whole thing right there, Regina. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you win and you learn, right? And with that, as you were saying, our words and our thoughts, but our words have power. So when you start about your thoughts, that has power too. And it manifests its way in our characteristics, some of our mannerisms, all of that. So, when you hear people talk about, what is that person's countenance, right? It's the thoughts and how they manifest themselves and show up. And that makes you who you are. But once you start to change your internal dialogue to include what you say, because as the Bible says, the power of life and death is in the tongue. And I think when people get that, they'll change. They'll change. And yes, these are for folks that believe in the law, as Melissa just said, believe in the word. But I think just believe in intentionality, right? So what you set as an intention for yourself, if you are intentional about wanting to have, be, prosperous in a certain area, then why are you speaking about lack?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's getting folks to think about, how you think about yourself, number one, and then just how you think about the world around you. There's abundance. There is enough for everybody.
Yep.
Amen, girl.
So changing how you think about that, and so I do a lot of that, particularly with career coaching, because I'm sure most of us here on this panel has heard of just kind of that, syndrome about being, I don't feel like I deserve this.
Mm.
I don't feel worthy, right? So that worthiness always shows up in the work that I do. And so that's what holds us back. And so I have to ask people to think differently about themselves. Why don't you feel like you are worthy of this? Why are you afraid of success? That imposter syndrome shows up a lot. So we have to change our inner dialogue and obviously the words that we say about ourselves, about others, but I think particularly about ourselves, to change that outward manifestation.
That manifestation is something else. Do you have something to say?
Right. As you were talking, I was thinking when you were saying why, why people sometimes feel that they're not worthy. I think a lot of it, and that goes all the way back up, circling back to that getting stuck at the beginning. I think a lot of it is generational. And because, this is the way Big Mama did it, and this is the way my auntie did it, and this is the way my cousins did it, then this is the way it's supposed to be. So a lot of it is generational and cultural. Absolutely. And as we're talking about our thoughts, what comes to my thoughts are Proverbs 23:7 that says, so as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what we think is what we are, and then for those who may not believe in the Lord or the law, then let's bring it here, to the natural self-fulfilling prophecies. This is, I'm speaking this over myself. I'll never do this, or I'll never be this. So as you speak it, as you think it, that's what you're going to see. You know what I mean? So this is all so good. So
I say I agree with my good shoes, Phaedra. I was on the screen.
I heard a phrase a few years ago called stinking thinking.
Yeah.
So we gotta freshen up our thoughts. We do.
And this is what this show is about, Cookie.
Yeah.
This
And
is it.
adding
You have something to say?
adding to the thought and adding to the words, we also have to pay attention to our feeling tone, because the universe responds to our feeling, right? And everything has to be congruent. It has to align. So you can't be thinking one thing, speaking another thing, and feeling something else. And then you're wondering why things ain't working. You're wondering why it's taking so long, right? So you can't say I'm abundant and then you're thinking lack and limitation, right?
There you go.
And then you feeling bad about yourself.
Defeated.
It has to be in alignment, right? There is a triune that's at work here. It's your thinking, it's your speaking, and it is your feeling. So get those three things working together, and you will move in a way that you have never moved before.
Right.
Amen.
It's good.
Exactly.
Witness.
And wouldn't you say that positive, like affirmations, like saying that to yourself, looking in the mirror, talking to yourself, positive affirmations are a good way to do that as well, to constantly pour into yourself and, to say good things about yourself and get it in your spirit. So where you start to believe that thing and it manifests outwardly that way as well, too.
Yes, I love affirmations, but you got to say it like you mean it.
Like you mean it.
You cannot get up and say, I am wonderful. No, you're not. No, you don't believe that. You got to say it like you mean it, and put your whole physical body into
in your stomach.
Yes.
I get it from the belly.
Yes.
And then you got to think it.
Reminds me of the gospel song.
Right?
What you say, Phaedra?
Absolutely. I was just going to offer that, this reminds me of the gospel song, Sometimes You Have to Encourage Yourself. And I'll never forget when that song was, I know it was like, number one for a couple of weeks. And I said, I hope people really get that into their spirit, that, sometimes we have to encourage ourselves. We can't seek outside of ourselves sometimes. And so, it's the word, but also the word becomes, in us, right? So you have to really get into that thing and believe it. But it's an everyday habitual. It needs to be a habit, but it needs to be a habitual habit right there. It needs to be every day ingrained so that it becomes part of your DNA. When I wake
Right.
up in the morning, I just say, good morning to myself. This is going to
Yep.
be a great day. I
Yep.
get to the point where I mean that thing.
Mhm.
You have to.
That's right.
It's good.
Yes.
You have
Because you
to.
never know what you're going to face as you leave your door.
Oh, you're right. And the thing about it, I do every morning. When I started my practice, and I think that's a part of a lot of people. They don't have habits. They just let life take control. They just float through existence, and life just steers them all over the
Yes.
place. And they let life control their emotions. I said, I'm not going to allow nobody no more to control my emotions. If I
Right.
give you control of how I'm supposed to feel, if I could make you could switch me like that, we got a problem. I
They have
shouldn't
power. You
Yeah,
don't.
you-
They
right.
have
I
power.
shouldn't.
You don't.
Right. I
Right.
shouldn't
Mhm.
switch off a light like this as soon as you get me mad. I should not let you switch me like that.
No.
So
Right.
that's when you know who you are. It all goes stem down to knowing who you are.
Yes.
Every morning I get up, I say, Regina, I'm royal, I'm educated, I'm gorgeous, I'm independent, I'm nice, and I'm amazing. I say that to myself every morning.
Very
Mhm.
good.
Every morning when I say I thank the Lord, my first week, I say, thank you for allow me to see another day. I say my name in acronyms and I get my day popping.
That's
I
right.
love
Because,
it.
because like we were talking about, if you go around saying, oh, tomorrow's Monday, you're like, oh, I can't stand Mondays. Mondays are horrible. Oh my
Right.
gosh, I can't stand.
Be horrible.
Well, you're gonna have a bad
Show up.
Monday, sweetie. You
That's
just
right.
told yourself you're gonna have a bad Monday because you just said to yourself you don't like
Yep.
Mondays. I didn't know that you could pick days you like, you don't like. You want to let God know that one? You want to tell him that? He'll give you a day you don't like. So I think you shouldn't be telling him I don't like Mondays because he's gonna give you a Monday you will not forget.
Right.
So
I don't like Mondays. Yes.
That's what. Yes. Yes.
I don't think you want to put that on you. Any day you breathe is a great day.
Great.
You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes we just do that because I don't know. It's just like you said, it's generational. We do a lot of stuff. We've never questioned why we do it.
Mhm.
Right.
We do a lot of things because and we trust our parents and our grandparents because that's what we know.
Yes.
And we're like, well, they know they did, but we always could be better. We always could grow from that. That foundation is great. But we always could just add on to it because I want my kids to add on to my foundation.
Sure.
Because
Right.
there's things I don't know that they're gonna know I didn't know.
Right.
It gets
Mhm.
better every generation. We don't have to keep it the same, like you said, that's stuck.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm gonna be like my mother. I'm gonna be like my grandmother. I'm like, why? Like, who told you that? Why?
Right.
Mhm.
Why?
Right.
I don't know. Well, life coach, because you need to figure out why. I don't understand why you doing something. You don't know why you're doing it.
Right.
People do it all the time and don't know why they're doing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we're all in a position to reveal healing for generations to come.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We're right now, we can heal for generations to come by not carrying these things forward.
Mhm.
Our parents did the best that they knew how to do with the information that they had at the time, right? And so that's what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
And we can pass that on to our children, right? And the first thing that's the most important thing for me as a parent is my children loving themselves,
Mhm.
my children knowing they are worthy, my children having their own spiritual practice. You're never too young to start, y'all. Never too young to start.
No.
It's so
You're not.
important. And I'm not here. I am. It is a gift. I often say that, God wanted to experience being a mother to Aria and Zola,
Yeah.
and he chose me to have that experience.
Mhm.
That's a gift. So
Yeah.
what are we
That's
doing
so
with
good.
that gift? We can heal that for generations to come. We don't have to carry it forward.
That's good.
Right.
That's good. And you're absolutely right. You don't.
Mhm.
So let's talk about self-love.
Mm.
Mm.
So this is the new thing now, the hip thing is self-love. Everybody self-love. I see people on Instagram, they're getting a pedicure and manicure, talking about self-love, hashtag self-love. That's a pedicure and manicure. That is so external. That is so surface. That's not self-love because when the chip plates off your nails, it's done. It don't go past the chip polish. So that's not self-love. That's just getting your feet together. That's not self-love. Self-love is deeper than that, because this is like the things we're saying now, the affirmations, the meditations, all that stuff is called self-love. So ladies, let's talk about self-love. So Phaedra, I'll start with you. What is your definition or some examples that people could use as self-love?
Yeah, I feel like self-love to me is caring for the soul. The soul in terms of when it has been upset, irritated, whatever the right word is that you want to use, it'll let you know. Whether it's our intuition, we talk about that. Women talk about that a lot. We hear others say something in my gut just doesn't feel right. We need to check in with self. And so for me, sometimes I just need to sit quiet and check in. And that looks different for many people, but for me, it is sitting in a quiet place. I may have some candles burning. I need to set the atmosphere, if you will. But I will journal, because in examining perhaps whether it's my day or my week, I need to examine, well, what went on with me this week? And what do I need to sit with self and think through? So I think there's a process for a lot of people. So I know we just talked about meditation. And I know we talked about people getting a pedicure and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, if that's your idea of self-care, while you're out getting that pedicure or manicure, make sure that you are able to be, quiet within the self. Take some time to think while that person is massaging your feet, while that person is taking care of your nails. There's a practice. You can do it anywhere. I sometimes do it at my office. I need to turn the lights off if I'm a little stressed and just take about 10, 15 minutes to just decompress. But that is how I care for myself. And again, that needs to be habitual. It can be a daily. It can be a weekly. You just need to take some time and do it. But it's so important to reset.
Yes.
So what do you think, Reverend Melissa, about self-love?
When I think about self-love, we talk about love, and usually it's conditional. And true love, self-love is unconditional. So no matter what I do, no matter how many times I fall or falter, I love myself. It's not based on what I do. It's not based on what I don't do. Self with a capital S, right, is source within us. That's the accessing that self-love, right?
Yes.
And it does I agree. You can go and get yourself a manicure, a pedicure, get your hair did, the whole to-do, right? But if you're with yourself and you're bashing yourself, or if you're being negative while you're having these things done, then there's still that disconnection.
Right.
There's a disconnect with yourself, right? So self-love is spending time with yourself, not by yourself. I love being with myself, and I'll go to eat with myself. I'll go to the movies with myself, whatever. And many of my friends are like, how can you go to the movies with yourself? When we used to go to the movies, remember those good old days? Go to the movies. I would go I would go with myself, right?
Yes.
Because I enjoy my company. I enjoy my company. And many of us can't spend 5 minutes with ourselves before we grab the phone, before we turn on the TV. We have to have noise, right? And all that noise is keeping us from hearing ourselves, right? So I think it's wonderful to be selfish. I think it's wonderful to be selfish, because you're self-full. We're full of source. We're full of source.
Yeah.
That's true. And and we all, like I do that. I know only children here, me and Carla, it's like, but you still have to kind of do it in a different way. You got to kind of do it intentionally go out and spend time with yourself and pay attention to yourself. Because like you said, you can go out by yourself and you can be on the phone the whole time at the table, and you're not really by yourself. You're still with people, but it's on electronic, but you're still with people. Because I know Angie was saying that, you know, she started to go out on her own and dress up and go out to eat and do things on her own and show her self-love. You know, so that's something I started doing too, and actually enjoying going out with myself, not just going out because I have to go by myself. It's a difference. Right. Tala, if you want to go ahead and hit some of these comments, and we'll start getting ready to wrap it up.
Okay. Yes. Let's see. We go back to okay. Lori Armstrong, hallelujah. My pastor just said, get out of the way and let God do his work.
Amen, Lori.
Amen.
Yeah.
Donna Pazant, what was the name of the book that was mentioned? Mental something. It was
the 30-Day Mental Diet by Willis Kinnear. 30 Mental Diet by Willis Kinnear.
It's right on Amazon too.
Sheila,
what's up, Sheila?
Says amen. Alicia Savage, amen. Okay, she says, Sheila Robinson, y'all preaching tonight. Yes. She said she's starting to practice manifestation daily.
Yes, Sheila. Yes, that's beautiful.
Wonderful.
Encourage Yourself by gospel singer Donald Lawrence.
Okay.
Love it. Yes, that is, I remember that song.
I got on my soapbox tonight, Sheila.
She said, so true, I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
And Yolanda confirmed.
Thank you, Yoli, for looking out. Yeah, 30-day mental diet.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it is. And, you know, we had touched about a little bit, too, about self-love. And a lot of times when I'm about to do a hit dog holler moment. We get on the soapbox. Okay. A lot of us that's in relationships, we put too much time and effort in loving in our relationships and not taking time to love ourselves.
Yes.
We in love, but we don't love ourselves. How can we love others without loving yourself first is amazing, because I did it for years.
So did I.
Years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Years.
Guilty as charged.
And then we wonder why things don't work out. We wonder why that, you know, this ain't going, you know, it's going crazy. We wonder why all of this is going on, because we are putting the cart in front of the horse, ladies and gentlemen. We are not been taught to love ourselves first before we even get engaged into a relationship, period. We've been taught to, soon as we able to date at 16, get your man, you know, get your man, get married, have kids, get the 2.5 children with a picket fence and a dog and a cat. And we have not loved ourselves not one time yet. And we wonder why it doesn't work out. And we wonder why we go through all the crap we go through. We wonder why we're divorced.
Partner to do that.
Right.
Sure.
Because that's what we was taught.
A lot of, we're putting a lot of focus on our partner for them to do it. And soon as they don't fulfill that need, then we're wondering what's wrong with them. You know, and that's a heavy burden.
And then we put the blame on them.
Anybody.
That's right.
Put the blame on them. And to your point, you know, if we're not coming to a relationship already full, and part of that is the self-love, then, you know, we can't expect the other person to fill that need. That's a need that God has to fill, that we have to fill, right? And so, and vice versa. You know, we cannot be unequally yoked with someone who is very needy themselves. So, you know, we've all felt that, and it's draining. So think about how it's draining for the other person if we approach your face, Regina.
That mental drain.
Well, you know, we
like
talk about
it's like going from full to empty, and you're on fumes, girl.
Well, we talk about the law of attraction.
So that it's important to recognize that.
Yes.
There you go.
The law of attraction. Whatever relationship you're in is just reflecting back to you the things that you need to work on within yourself. It's just a mirror. It's just a mirror. So everything that you're saying about that other person, you're saying about yourself. You just change their name to your name, and there you go. because
Yep.
real relationship
Yep.
is throwing us
Yes.
real,
Yes.
real relationship is a
Let's give
spiritual
Regina a
partnership.
moment. Let's give Regina a moment.
I marry people. You know, I'm a minister and I officiate weddings. And part of the conversation that I have with people who are about to be married is: have you asked each other these questions? What is the intention of our relationship?
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
What are our agreements?
Mhm.
Yes.
Right? What are we agreeing to here?
Mm.
Are we committed to each other's spiritual growth?
Right.
Right?
That's good.
These
We
are
don't
the
ask
People
that
don't ask those
stuff.
questions.
we don't ask those questions.
Brother
No.
Melissa, we don't
No.
ask those questions because
No.
they tell us just to get you a man.
That's right.
Mhm.
And we
Mhm.
have to disrupt that foolishness
Mhm.
for
Yes.
us and for the generations to come. Because
Yes.
we don't want to tell our children, you just get yourself a spouse, they're gonna take care of you, and you just do your little thing that you do. No.
Mhm.
No, it is about spiritual growth. So yes, there's going to be challenges, right?
Right.
Let's talk about, before we get in an argument, how we going to
Now
argue,
handle it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
Not when you're in
Right. What are
the
the rules
mix
and
of it,
Mm.
Yes.
right?
No.
Absolutely.
So just take a pause, take a sacred pause, and look at yourself, looking back at you and your relationship, because that's all it is. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this relationship.
Mhm.
It's an opportunity for you to heal something within yourself that this person's soul has agreed to
Reverend,
show
hit
to
it, girl. Hit it,
you.
Rev.
Okay? It's a soul agreement.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a soul's agreement. So you could end that relationship and get yourself another one just like it.
Absolutely.
So
And
that you
do
can
anything to fix you.
like give it another shot,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? And just keep doing it over and
Just
over and over
Learning
again.
new lessons. Just
All
keep
right.
getting- you
Right.
you
That was
get it,
me.
you keep getting the same lesson over and over and
Over
over.
and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Exactly.
Until what
Absolutely.
changes? Until you change.
You change.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's exactly what I did. Over and over. Hit my head
Absolutely.
over and over and over again. It's not the guy, it's you.
Right.
And-
And I think a lot of that goes back to when you were saying that self-love. But how can you love something or someone that you don't know? So we don't know ourselves.
Mhm.
So it comes to a point where we have to, first of all, like you said, peeling back those layers and really look at ourselves naked and unashamed, and just get to know who we are, so that we can, have to get that first, establish that first, and then learn to love ourselves to get to that point. If not, then we're going to do that little merry-go-round, just go round and around and around, and we're going to continue to make those same choices with the same people, because as you said, Reverend Melissa, because that's who we are.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you have to
Let's gotta
You're
repeat
just
that
a
one more
mirror.
time. Let's repeat that one more time. If you're in a relationship that you're not happy in, or you're in a relationship that is not right for you, look at it, because that's who you are.
right.
It's a
It's
mirror.
It's
It's a
reflecting,
reflection.
yes, it's
Yes.
reflecting something back to you that you need to see within yourself.
Yes.
It's reflecting back to you something that is unhealed, something that is unresolved, something that is unforgiven, something that you need to see for yourself. It is a gift.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not talking about abusive relationships here. So let's be clear. I'm not talking about abusive relationships.
Mentally
Okay.
or emotional either.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
We're
Mentally
talking
yes,
about people who are stable, but
Right.
there's something happening here. There's a dynamic at play, right? And we need each other. We do. We need each other to see that, right? Otherwise, we would just be all by ourselves.
Mhm.
So
Right.
relationships play a part in our lives, but
Right.
it could play a healthier part.
Absolutely.
Right? It could be a healthy relationship, and we could work through that healing together. Are we committed to doing that?
Mm.
And many
That's
of us
the
are in
thing.
relationships and we're not committed to doing that work.
Right.
And
No.
then we repeat it.
Yeah.
That's the
Because
talk.
we
And I
keep putting
think,
the blame on others.
Right.
right. And putting the blame on another person, but I think a lot of us need to take a pause.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think a lot of us out here need to take a stop. Let's hold up.
Mhm.
Take a pause. figure out what's happening, because you're going to just jump because we're scared to face ourselves.
Yeah.
So we are quick to jump in something else because it distracts off of ourselves. But if I got to concentrate on you and satisfying your needs, I don't have to worrying about mine. You see what I'm saying? So that's what happens with a lot of us.
Yes.
We feel that because the society make you feel you have to be in this relationship and the world sees you as a better person if you with somebody, and if you in love, you're supposed to be on top of the world and everything is great and fancy, and we're trying to strive for this thing that's not real. It's the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Matrix. We're striving for what other people think that's supposed to be, and there's no guru, there's no magic person up there telling you this is how it's supposed to be. We just believe what people told us, and we never questioned it.
No,
we never questioned it, and we continue to make the same mistake. Like these two ladies are telling us here, Phaedra and Reverend Melissa is telling the same thing. We need to question and understand what we're doing. We don't know who we are. That's the first step. Learn you first. Then you can go and have the best relationship ever with not just men, but with your kids, with your friends, with your parents. Your relationships will be so much deeper and so much better if you know who you are. Because a lot of times, the relationship that you're in, you probably would have been with this guy. If you know who you are, he probably not even nowhere near where you will be. Because you only see yourself in that person. And that's what you think you deserve is what you're doing.
And not just your relationships will be better, your life will be better.
Whole life
will be better. Yeah.
Another piece of that, Gina, that you were hinting is how we have to think about, how do we find our identity? Who do we have our identity in, right? So some people identify with who they are by what they do in terms of their job. You ever meet somebody and you say, well, tell me about yourself. Oh, well, I'm an engineer, or I'm a doctor, or no, that's not what I'm asking. But people don't know how to answer that question.
They're who they are.
Because they have not thought about, well, what is my identity rooted in? Now, our identity is supposed to be rooted in Christ. But, but again, we have to really examine that. And it should not be, rooted in a partner. It cannot be rooted in a job. All of these things are, they're part of, the society. It's just part, these things can go away. Somebody who's divorced. All right. So, or
you still stuck with yourself.
Exactly. So that's part of the work that we need to do. Where do I find my identity? Where, how is my identity rooted, and where is it rooted in? And I think the number one answer for that should be your identity should be rooted in Christ.
That's right.
And then go
That's
from
right.
there.
All right. I'm sorry. We're going to have to start. We got to wrap up. Okay, Carla, go ahead and get the comments, and we'll go ahead and do the business spotlight, and then I'll just wrap up with the new show for next
Absolutely. Sheila Washington, Gina. I know
I was on my soapbox, Sheila. I was on my soapbox.
So you're going to make me throw this phone across the room. Sweet Jesus.
Sheila stupid.
Aaron Collins, how do you disassociate an event or experience that happens from your truth?
One of y'all want to take that?
How do you disassociate an event or experience that happens from your truth?
Need more.
I'm not sure I'm clear about the question.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, if you could put a little bit more detail, they would love to answer that.
Yeah.
Donna Passant, I love this conversation. So many gems.
Yes, it was. Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Yes. And Derek Powell, good show, ladies. What up, sis?
Hey, Derek.
Yes, we would like to hear from Aaron again, if he could.
Yeah, Aaron, real quick, if I'm going to do a spotlight, but we'll come back to you. I promise you. So go ahead and just put a little bit more detail in there. Yeah. All right, so let me do my business spotlight. As y'all know, I do this every time. It's spotlight entrepreneurship. I really appreciate and believe in it. So I wanted to go ahead and share my screen with you so you can see my latest and greatest business. And Dominique's Creations, and she has her handles there. She makes some beautiful jewelry. I actually ran into her at one of those pop-up shops, and she is beautiful. She's a lady of price. And like I said, you see the little examples here. She has very affordable jewelry. And if you're interested, please reach out to her. Here's her Facebook, her Instagram, and she has other pictures up there that she could that you could pick from. And she does actually herself. So whatever you need, color schemes, whatever, she could just make it up for you. So it's nothing too big for her to do. So here's you go. That's our information. Dominique's Creations.
Okay. Aaron has come back and he says, if you go through something, how do you not hold that as part of your truth?
Okay, if you go through something.
I think it goes back to identity, right? So if you're identifying yourself, so I'll give you an example or something personal. When I went through my divorce, right? So I'm identifying myself as I am a divorced woman, right? That was a horrible event to go through that, right? But I have to disassociate myself. That's not who I am, right? I'm still whole. And divorce meaning that you're now, divided. Okay. You get to the root of the word. So I can disassociate that because that's not my truth. That's not the promises of God for me. That's not what I believe. Right. So it sounds like you've gone through some sort of negative, and again, I'm making some assumptions here, but when you're writing, Aaron, that if you go through something, so I'm thinking that something is a negative event. How do you not hold that as part of your truth? Again, you have to interrupt the story. Mm-hmm. Because it sounds like that you're holding on to that piece of the story. And the more you do that, it becomes synonymous with your truth. Mm-hmm. So there needs to be a bit of interruption. So again, I don't know the whole, what the instance that you're talking about, but that's why I just wanted to use my divorce as an example. If I had held on to that, I'd be a very, very different person today. So, but I'd be happy to talk with you through that if you want to reach out to me. Yeah, so Reverend Melissa, did you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I would add to that is, the truth is a very powerful word. It's a very powerful word, and it's kind of become this. It's almost kind of like a slang thing now. I'm speaking my truth. This is my truth. When we really look at that, we need to look at what the truth is, right? And the truth is that the source did not make junk, right? And we are whole, we are complete, and we are perfect, just as we are, regardless of what we go through in life. It doesn't change the truth with a capital T of who we are. And sometimes we get, it could kind of shake us off our foundation when these life events happen, right? And we start to identify ourselves as that event that occurred, right? So, for example, Phaedra used the example of getting divorced. Some people see divorce as a failure. So then we start to affirm, I am a failure. And that is not the truth. So it's an opportunity for us to disrupt that, to disrupt that thought that because this thing happened, that now is who I am. Who you are will never change, will never change. Nothing that we could ever do will ever change who we truly are. Not in the eyes and not in the mind of God. And if we could get that, we would be free. We really would be free.
Yes.
I think the fear and the scare, just being scared of the unknown is people get scared and they just don't want to be, they want to be free. They love it, but they just don't, they scared to trust it. To be free.
I know we got to wrap up the show. I was just talking about this today. I did a sermon today at church, and the sermon was about leaning into the discomfort. right? Because oftentimes we want to have things to be certain and we want to know everything before we go and step into it, right? But just think about Moses, right? What if Moses had an impediment? Moses had a speech impediment. What if Moses said, oh no, I ain't the one. Look, I got a speech impediment. I can't talk. What if Moses said, oh no, I'm not the one, right? But God gave him everything he needed. God gave him Aaron, right? So if we step into the unknown, we need to know that as we step into the unknown, that which knows all that there is to know is stepping with us.
Yeah.
And that is the truth, Aaron. That is the truth.
Yes.
So we're not on this journey alone. And we're not our mistakes. And we're not the things that hurt. We're not that. We're the truth.
Amen.
He said that helps. Thank you.
Amen.
God bless you, Aaron.
Oh, that's beautiful. This is what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna have to sell this one more time. If you're in a part of your life that you don't know and you're stuck, or your career is not where you wanted to be, or your life is not where you wanted to be, or you just don't know who you are or how to start to find out, these people here can help you. I am vouching for them. I'm telling you, they know what they're talking about. Like I said, Reverend Melissa is my personal life coach. Okay. Like I said, everything you see that's happening to me right now is because of me going to her, and God is used her to get me unstuck, like Phaedra said. Okay. So I would never bring nothing to you that I would not do myself. That's what I always said. I would never bring nothing to you I wouldn't do myself. And it works, because when you're tired of being sick and tired, why not?
Right.
Why not try God? Why not? If you've done it yourself all these years and you've been hitting your head against this wall and you've been bleeding and putting Band-Aids on, get the stitch in and go try God.
Yes. Yes.
Go God's way. I guarantee if you haven't tried, there's nothing to lose. And I guarantee you're going to be better off, way better off going God's way. So we do have the information with scrolling on the bottom of the screen. I will make sure to get it in the YouTube video. And you please, if you don't mind subscribing to our channel, and you see on the bottom, it's Let's Talk 1943 LLC podcast on YouTube. If you don't mind doing that, you'll be able to watch all the episodes, as well as get the information about these beautiful young ladies that joined us this evening, because their services are needed. We need help out here. And it's no shame to the game. I'm so much better off. I wish but I won't say that, because God brings you where you need to be at the time you need to be. I was not meant to be there until I got there. If your time is here, you're here. If it's not, it may be later, but whenever that time is, seek counsel if you need to get this help. So thank you once again for joining us on the show. And we're going to have our next show is going to be on June 27th. And guess what? We're doing a dating series. See that we just talked about all this. And it's called Dating the Christian Way. Dating the Christian Way. So this is going to be on June 27th at 7 o'clock. We're going to have some great panelists that they specialize in Christian dating, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about those myths as well. A lot of people think Christian dating is like a log, you just sit there and you're bored, and no, it's not what you think, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to get more into that when we talk about that. We're going to talk about that. So that will be our next show. So I would like to say thank you for joining us this evening. We had a beautiful show. This was amazing. I learned so much. Oh my God, this is an amazing show. And like I always say, Let's Talk is now over. Y'all have a great night. Thank you so much. God bless. I love you all.